Hi everyone, it's Denise Reed and welcome to my channel, Bramble Reed. If you're looking for all things paper mache, you have come to the right channel. This week we are looking at the Sandpaper Grits paper mache earring tools. If you want to see some different texture of sandpaper, keep on watching. So this week I'm going to show you the Sandpaper Grits, different sandpaper grits and how to use them. Because I'm doing jewelry, I have the smaller pieces. I don't need anything bigger than that. I do have bigger pieces of sandpaper for woodworking. Now, when it comes to sandpaper numbers or sandpaper grits, what it means is that the finer one, which is 180, there would be 180 grits in 1 square centimeters, where this one would be 7,000 grits per centimeters, okay? So that just means that 7,000 means that there's more grits, meaning that it's finer, and so that it's covering up what's below. So this grit here is 180, so the next one up, let's say, would be 240. When you scratch your wood or jewelry and you have 180 grits in it, then you're going to come along and you're going to scratch it again and you're going to have 240. So that means the 240 is going to cancel out the 180, right? And then you're going to just keep moving up all the way up to whatever smoothness you want your piece to be. Let's say it's 800. Then that means 800 has covered up all the other grits that you've used. For the best creative DIY craft content, subscribe to my channel and be sure to hit that bell to be notified when I upload a post every Tuesday. I have a Facebook page that is dedicated to DIY crafts and fashion that you are able to join. Now it's your turn. When it comes to sandpaper coloring, some places use like white for extra fine, but you can see here that the lighter the color, the finer the sandpaper is, and then the darker the color, the more heavy or rough the sandpaper is. So you do want to also check that out. However, I do have some light blues which are 80 grit, where here the 80 grit hasn't come up into the color wheel. So you do have to look for that and don't bank on that. However, you will notice that the colors do vary depending on the grits. Now there is a really good sandpaper. It's called the Silicone Carbide sandpaper, and what that does is it actually sharpens itself when it's on a hard surface, so you're able to use it a little bit longer. I purchased my Silicone Carbide from AliExpress. They also are waterproof, so they're really good for polymer clay jewelry. I want to just show you what the grids are. Hopefully you can see this. So this is a 60 grid. This is how rough it is. This is 180, and you can see it still made a scratch. 320 just does surface, and then as you go down, 800, 1002, 3000, 7000. 7000 is extremely soft. You see how it's not really taking off anything? That's actually more of a polish, a buffering kind of effect that you're going to get with the 7000, 3000, and this one here is a little bit of a light buffer. Like I would probably go down a little bit like to the 3000, but 1002 you can get away with. Even 800 depending on what you're using it for. I wouldn't start at the 60 grit. 60 grit's a little bit too rough and coarse for this. I generally use my 60 grit when I have a paper mache earring that I've created with more paper in it than less, because then there's more texture and I just want to scrape off all the harder stuff. Now this one here, this is a 240. And I'll start with this and you'll be able to see right away. Now what you want to do is work yourself down. So I did 240 and I'm just going to show you what it looks like, because we may even get it to shine. There's a 9. I don't know if you can see there's less scraping. Here's 320. If you could feel it, it would be better. And you see the white lines that are in there are going away. This one is 400. I'm going to skip some of them. We don't need 400. Comment down below and let me know what the highest sandpaper grit that you knew of. 800. And then I'm going to grit it down to 1000. It's nice and smooth. Oh my god. Now can you see the difference? I think you can, because you can tell too that this is a little bit more defined and you can see a little bit more shine, and that's the difference with when you're sanding your paper. You want to grade down in anything that you do, even if it's furniture. You want to make sure that you can't see the lines from the sandpaper. That means that you haven't gone down far enough. And so with sandpaper, the higher the number, the finer the grid. The higher the number, the coarser the grid. Yeah, and this is a really nice jewelry tool to have, is just knowing your grades of your grids of sandpaper and using them properly. If you need to sand your wooden jewelry, now I can't find the shapes that I have, but you can cut wood into shapes that you need to sand with. So this one would be good for something like that, and you wrap it around and you would just staple so that it holds on, and then you're gonna sand your piece, okay? And I'll do it this way, right? And you're just gonna sand your piece back and forth. Now remember, when you're sanding all things, especially when it comes to wood, you're always sanding with your grain, because you'll actually notice that if you sand across your grain, you'll actually see that the fibers are coming up and the scratch marks. When you sand with the grain, it flows in and it kind of blends in. So always be mindful of that when you're using wood. If you're doing wooden jewelry, then you can use a small piece. I normally cut my pieces so that they're small, and I always have my finger on it, so I'm holding it like this, and then I'm sanding, okay? And that allows me to go back and forth with whatever grain it is. If I'm doing my earrings, you'll see that I'll just sand around it lightly and then go back. That way, just so my finger's out of the way, I'm holding the paper so that if I'm sanding, my fingers don't click. Like if you ever grated a coconut, you know the pain. Now that you know the different sandpaper grids for your paper mache earrings, I have written a guide on different designing platforms that will help you take those creative juices out of your head and put on a digital platform. I have included a list of tutorials that will help you understand these platforms better. You can download the guide at the link in the description box. Also guys, if you are a creative mind and you wanted to submit some of your pictures or what you're doing, I do have my Instagram page and my Facebook page, so you can check out the link in the description box down below. Check out any of my paper mache tutorials next, and my upcoming tutorial that will be posted next Tuesday. If you like this week's video, hit that like button. Be sure to comment on the video and share the content with your family and friends. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next weekend. Take care.